Hi, everybody. I am not ready, but we are going live anyway. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody, or happy day after Thanksgiving. Today's Black Friday. I don't know if anybody was shopping today. I was not. Just traveling back from Connecticut, and we didn't have lunch. We visited with Jim's family, and then we didn't have lunch. So on the way home, we stopped at one of our favorite restaurants, and we got linguine and meatballs. And now I feel like I weigh 1,000 pounds. So I'm not even drinking tonight. I'm having water. I can't eat or drink another single thing. Ay. All right, just water tonight. Okay. Anyway, I hope everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving, and yeah, hopefully you didn't overeat. Yeah, I told Jim I can't eat anything else. He goes, "What are we going to do with all that pie?" So we brought a bunch of pie home. Oh my goodness. It is one of those overeating holidays. Okay, so tonight we are going to work on this card. Oh, I thought I had it on full screen. I did not. I'm not paying attention. All right, tonight we're working on this card. Let's go back down over here. Did you see my messy desk? All right, here we are. All right, let's get this thing down. All right, we're working on this. This is a pillar card. Crooked. There we go. All right, so this is a pillar card, and it's got this column here on the left-hand side, and it stands up like that. So I love this little card because it's super simple to put it together, even though it looks complicated. It's very simple to put it together, but there's a real wow factor here. And depending on how you decorate it, you can go kind of over the top, which I did with this one. There's a lot of bows and tags on here. And we're going to make one a little bit, we're going to make one fancy again tonight, but then I'll show you one that's not quite so fancy, another one that I made. So this one is made with the, oh, I don't remember what this paper's called. Modern Christmas paper. It's the black and white paper in the mini catalog. And it, oh no, I'm sorry. I think it's an online exclusive. And so I used two different pieces from that pack, this stripe and then this one with the stars. And then I used the patterned tags dies to create these little tags, and then I just did a bunch of ribbon. So we're going to go through how to put this together. All right, so what we're going to need is a long card base. So you're going to need a card base that is 5.5 by 10 1/8. So what that means is that we're going to, this paper is 8.5 by 11. So you're going to want this to be 10 1/8 going this way. So this way it's going to have to be 5.5. So we're going to cut this down 5.5. And then you'll have this little strip left over. And then we want this to be 10 1/8. So we're going to take our arm out and go to 10 1/8. And just cut off this little piece at the bottom here. Okay, so here's our card base. Now we're going to score that. There's multiple scores. So we're going to score that at 4 1/4. 4 1/4. Get your cutting blade out of the way. 4 1/4. And then 5 3/4. And then 7 1/4. And then 8 3/4. 8 3. Oops, too far. 8 3/4. Okay. So now you should have this card base that has a large, maybe if I turn it this way, Oh, that's not any better. Has a large panel here, and then it's got 4 small panels here. So let's burnish this. All these folds are going to be mounted in the middle. So we'll fold it. Here's your big panel, and then we're going to fold each one of these small panels mounted in the middle as well. Okay. And then we are going to essentially fold this in to create this pillar. It's going to fold in like that, and that's going to make your pillar. So the easy way to do that is to put some tear and tape on this panel, and I'm going to show you how to do that and to fold it in. Okay, let me find the end of my tear and tape. Here we go. All right, so the tear and tape is going to go on this very last panel here. And I'm going to put a piece on each edge there. This outside edge and right next to the score line on that inside edge. Because this card, I've been playing with the one that I made quite a bit, and I think that people will play with it. So I wanted it to really stick together well. So I'm using tear and tape for this instead of the liquid glue. All right, so we're going to remove the backing. And then what we're going to do is you've got 4 panels here. We're going to fold it at right after the second panel, so in half there where those panels are. So you're going to have 2 panels, and then you'll have 2 panels here. And then you're going to fold this over, and you're going to stick it down. So it should be flat when you stick it down. And then when you release, it should just create that little pillar for you. Hi, Lorraine and Mary. Hi, Julie. Okay, so that's going to create that little pillar. And then we just have to decorate it. So I am using tonight the Traditions of Christmas paper. So the panel that you're going to put here is going to be, I want to say 2.5 by 5 1/4. Yeah, 2.5, 5 1/4. I don't want to tell you wrong. 2.5 by 5 1/4 to go on this little section here. So we're just going to adhere that. This paper was difficult to decide which patterns to use because they're all beautiful. So to make this easy, you can squish this down and adhere this panel in there so you get it straight. And then these, oh, did I have 3? I should have 3. Did I only cut 2? Oh my goodness, one moment, we might need an extra panel here. So you're going to have designer series paper. No, I didn't cut it. Oh, no, that's the wrong size. All right, hang on. Like I said, I am not ready tonight. Oh my goodness. Okay. So 1 second. 1 1/4 by 5 1/4. Okay, so you need strips that are 1 1/4 by 5 1/4, and you're going to need 3. I don't know why I only had 2 there. All right, so we need 3 of these. There we go. Okay, and those will be for your pillar sections here. So you're going to just put 1 of these, double checking myself. You're going to put 1 of these on each panel. Okay, and just fold, squish it down to get your designer series paper there. I'm going to line it up so it's lined up with the panel next to it. Okay, and then this one. Again, just line it up so it lines up with the panel next to it. And then we'll push it this way to get this last panel on. There we go. Oh no, this guy looks short. All right, well, we're going to just pretend he's the same size as everybody else. I could not measure today. I have a brain fog from too much food. Okay, so here's our pillar card base. All right, so now all we have to do is decorate it. So on my original card, I did put a little panel here, and that one white insert is 2 by 4. So you could certainly put a little panel there. I will show you on the other card that I made that I did a different size. So we're going to do 2 by 4. And we're going to stamp a little greeting there. This is for someone who you just want to send a quick note to. If there's not a lot of space to write. So that's going to go here. I'm going to stamp a little message at the bottom. I'm going to use that same Merry Christmas and Happy Wishes that I used on this other card. And we're going to do that in Cherry Cobbler. And this little saying is from, where is this from? The North Pole Delivery. No, Jolly Delivery stamp set that coordinated with the North Pole Delivery paper. So we'll get that on there. This had nice small sentiments, so it was perfect size for this little panel there. And then we'll just line this up in the middle. Just kind of eyeball it that it's centered there. Okay, so then I added some ribbon and I added some tags. So the tags were created with the pattern tag dies, Julie's favorite. She loves these dies. So tonight I used this one that creates this cutout here with all the like pine branches. And then I've got a second one that I cut out with just the plain tag die here. And then I've got a little paper bow that's created with this die here. Okay, so we're going to put those together to decorate the front of this pillar here. Right here are my other little pieces, my extra little pieces that I have. All right, so first things first, I'm going to put this piece on a piece of white so that it has a backing. And I didn't cut this out with this die because it's got these little holes around the edge. And when you layer this up, I'm not crazy about it because the holes show through. Or maybe I just don't line it up properly. I don't know. But anyways, what I ended up doing, or what I've been doing, Julie's laughing at me right now. She's going, you could do it, Michelle. You could line it up properly. But I have been gluing it onto a piece of white. And then I just cut it out. She's laughing. I can hear her laughing right now. I don't know. I don't know why this was easier for me than lining it up. I couldn't get it to line up properly. So I just went with a plain white back and I just cut it out, cut out my little edges. And there we go. All right, so there's my little tag, but then I do have to make another hole because I covered up the hole. So I have my little hole punch to just punch out that little hole. Okay, so there's my green one. And then this is garden green. This was cherry cobbler. There's my little tags. And what I did was used some, what is this called? Gold striped ribbon to go in through that tag. Okay, so I'm going to put this here. We're going to get this to go through both of these. Maybe. There we go. Okay, and I want to leave myself enough to make a bow. Okay. And what I also did was used a dimensional under here so that that would stay where I want it. So I want the cherry cobbler to be showing a little bit. So I'm going to use a dimensional and just line this up the way I want it to be so I can see that layer there. Okay, so that's my little piece. Then I'm going to also use this little bow. And you're going to ask me what this little piece is. That's the front of the bow. We'll see if we can manage this tonight. All right, so to put this little bow together, I put a little dot of glue on this part. And then I mount, oh, it's upside down, this one on here. So that gives me that cute little double bow. And honestly, most of the time, oops, I moved it. Most of the time, I'm fine with that. But there is another little piece, which is this little tiny piece here that you can do with your tweezers, or you can do with your take your pick tool. You could also pick it up with your take your pick tool. And then I'm going to put a little dot. This is the center of this bow. Put another little piece of glue there, or a little dot of glue there. And then we can get this little piece on. And that is supposed to be, oh, it's very hard to see because it's glittery. That is supposed to be the middle of that bow. So I'm also going to add this to the card. Just going to glue it down with a little dot of glue. And I'm going to add that right there. And then I cut out some floral from the one of the pieces of paper that might be a little big. All right, we're going to wait till we get it on there and see if that's going to fit. All right, so the ribbon, I did put some ribbon around and through this pillar. So I fed this through here. And made this long enough also so that I could tie a bow. Cut that off. This is just some gold trim. I think I got this on the last chance rack. Maybe last year, I'm not sure. But it's essentially just some gold trim that you could find easily at a craft store. And I'm going to use a little glue dot. And I'm going to add the glue dot right here to my pillar to hold this together and hold this down. So I'm going to make sure this is the right meeting in the right place. I'm going to just put that right onto my glue dot right there. And that is going to hold it so that I can tie a bow. So I'm going to tie this. Big bow here. And then I'm going to put my tag on. And I kind of double tied this. So I took my 2 rabbit ears and then I made another bow. So I have this ribbon inside this bow now. And I'm going to tighten that. That's going to hold that there. And then I'm going to make a big bow here. So Julie is also now laughing because look at me, Julie. I have not just one bow. I have 3 bows now. We were just talking about how I never use ribbon. So now I went overboard and I used tons of ribbon. All right. Because I wanted it to be really fancy. All right. So I'm just going to cut this off a little bit. Okay. And then I'm going to use another dimensional under here. Oops, just one. To hold this again where I want it, like right there. That's pretty, just like that. Maybe I don't need all the fanciness. Maybe I should make it smaller. All right, let's cut some of these leaves off. And we're going to just make it flowers, maybe. Poinsettias. Do you guys buy poinsettias? I never do well with them. I either overwater them or underwater them. I can't keep them. And then you're supposed to be able to like put them in the basement and keep them to the next year, but I've never been able to do that. All right, let's just cut some of this green out of here. One more little piece here. I'll just make it a bit smaller. I think there was a smaller flower in this paper, but for some reason I thought I wanted the big one. But here, oh, there you go. Maybe smaller is better. All right, so we're going to take some dimensionals and get this on there. Oh, do I want it to go under the bow, maybe? There we go. There we go. How's that? Okay, so that's a lot of bows. even for somebody that makes bows, I think. All right, so here is the sample that I showed you with the, hi Maria, the modern Christmas paper. And then here's the traditional Christmas paper with kind of the same bow going on there. And then I did make one that is a little bit more simple. So this one I created with the Hobby Haven paper. So I did just one tag on the front with some little cutouts from the Hobby Haven paper, and then just a little white. And I didn't tie a bow here. I just left this as a little, I don't know, just as a ribbon sticking up there with a little tag here. And then because I really wanted to show this paper, I didn't want to cover this up with the sentiment piece. what I did was put the sentiment piece on the back. So you would just put 4¼ by 5, 5¼ by 4 piece of white on the back of the card for that one. So there you go. There's some different samples for you, and you can just make it as fancy or as simple as you'd like. All right. Hopefully you liked that. Maybe you will try it. It's not hard. For the measurements, you can go back and watch the beginning of the video for the scoring and for the measurements, or you can go to my blog at thismustbeink.com. Sign up for my email. If you're on my email list, you're going to get the measurements and instructions for the cards I do on Friday. You'll get them the next week. All right, so this one will be in my email next Wednesday. All right, so let's flip this back over. There we go. All right. What's happening? There we go. There we go. Too many buttons. All right, that's it. The light is very harsh tonight, and I have had way too much food. Okay, I need a giant nap. So I hope you guys had a really good holiday. I know I did. And yes, I ate too much food, as we covered at the beginning of the video. Anyway, all right. So have a good rest of your weekend this weekend. And I will see you all next Friday. Okay? Stay crafty, my friends.